Hello, pattern lovers. You're welcome and welcome back. It's yet another exciting tutorial, and in today's video, we'll be drafting this beautiful bustier dress with a stylish square neckline and a pencil skirt. The skirt comes with front skirt cutout design plus a lace laying over on the front skirt. So if you're interested in learning how to go about the pattern drafting of this beautiful dress for a perfect fit, then kindly watch this video to the very end and let's get straight into it. Now on my pattern paper, I'm going ahead to mark out these lines you can see here, the shoulder line, the bust point line, the under bust line, and then the waist line. Now on the shoulder line, I'm going to divide the shoulder measurement by 2. Then I'll be going down to my chest line. And on that point again, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2. And I'm going to mark out the line this way. Next, I'm going to mark a neck width of 3 inches here. Then I'll be coming down here to 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Now I'm going to slant from that 1 inch to the 3 inches neck width. The next thing now is to get the midpoint of this line, but what I will do here is to just come up here by 3.25. Then on that point, I'll be going in by ½ inch. Then come to the chest line and take the bust measurement divided by 4. Now I'm going to use my ruler to connect, to cover out the armhole just the same way you can see me do it. So I went ahead to mark out the neckline, but it's not going to work. Let's work on the bustier first before we come back to the neckline. So ignore that you're seeing a neckline. I'll still be showing you how to go about it later in this video. The next thing I will do is to get the bust span. I'll mark it on the waistline and also on the bust point line. Then I'm going to start from the shoulder slope and come down to 4 inches because that's where I want the princess seam to be. So you're starting from your shoulder slope and you're coming down to where you want the princess that to be. Okay, now I'm going to place my curve this way and curve from that 4 inches to the bust span just like this. Next, coming to the waistline, on both sides of the bust span line, I'll be marking 0.75. Then I'm going to mark 0.75 going to the center, then 1.25 on this side for the under bust tightening. Now I'm going to connect the waist dart to the under bust tightening like this, and then I'm going to use my curve to curve from the under bust to the bust point, just as you can see me do it here. Now the next thing I'll be doing now is to start from this line and go out to 1 inch. 1 inch works so well for my size. Then I'm going to measure this princess seam line. Then whatever it is I measure, then I'm going to place it on the bust point line and tilt my measuring tape until that same value touches that 1 inch. Do you understand? Now we are making sure that this same line that we are about to cover out now is the same length with the princess, the original princess dart line. Do you understand? So that by the time you're joining, you're not going to have any shortage on this side, which is usually shorter if you don't make it the same length with the actual princess dart line. Okay, so after covering it out to the bust point, I'm going to recurve the armhole just as you can see me do it here. Then I'll clean up the initial armhole curve because obviously we will not be needing that any longer. Now on the waistline, I'm going to take the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the 1.5 that intake. I'll replace it from the waist measurement. Then I'm going to connect the waist measurement and the bust measurement just like this. After that, now I'm going to come down on this bust point line by 1.5 because that's the difference between my front length and then the back length. Then I'll slant it to the bust span and that's the bust that. Okay, now let's talk about the neckline. I promised to show you how to go about it because yeah, I made a mistake earlier. So for the neck width of this neckline, I'm going to mark 3 inches. Then I'll be going down to 7.5 as the neck depth. Okay. Then on this neck depth now, I'm going to mark 5 inches as the width. Remember, we have 3 inches as the neck width on the shoulder. Then 7.5 as the neck depth. Then on that neck depth, you're going to mark 5 inches as the wideness for that part. Now connecting it, this is what it looks like, and you see how I'm placing my curve to curve it out. Go ahead and do the same thing so that it gives you that same shape you see on the thumbnail. The next thing now is to start from this neck depth and go up 2.25. You can do 2.5 if you want it higher, but 2.25 will do it for me. So after marking the 2.25, I'm going to place my curve this exact way you see me place it, then curve it out. Okay, that now will be the neck depth for the center. Then the side, you see what the neck depth. Yeah, the neck depth is maintaining that 7.5 you're using as our neck depth. Now I'm going to tighten this because if you leave it like this, it's going to gape a whole lot. So I'm going to do just half inch. If you want to do more, you can do 0.75. If the wideness is more than 5 inches. You understand, yeah? So after doing the tightening, I'm going to measure this and make sure that it's the same with this other line. And once I have it, I'm going to recurve the neckline this way so that after closing the gaping that, the neckline will go back to its original shape. This is what it's looking like, and I will have to clean off this unwanted line so that you see clearly what you are going for. Now to tighten this part, I'm going to start from the shoulder line and come down by half inch. Then I'm going to mark the shoulder slope again this way. So now this will be the new shoulder slope, and no, it's not going to affect your measurement or your length. This is just a gaping that, except you want to see gaping here and there. So now coming over to the back pattern, I'm going to start from the shoulder and go down to the back length, which is 15.5. And then I'm going to mark the same thing on this other side, 15.5. So the front length, as you can see, it's 17 inches. Then 17 minus 1.5, which we use as the bust dart, is 15.5. Now, starting from the center back line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 on the shoulder line. Then I'll be going down to the chest line, and on that point again, I'll mark the shoulder measurement. Then use my ruler to connect it and connect the chest line to the one we already have on the front pattern, just like this. Now I'm going to start from the center back and come in by 3 inches, which we are using as the neck width, then 1 inch shoulder slope on the back pattern. Then I'm going to slant it this way to the 3 inches neck width. The next thing I'll be doing now is to come down here by 1 inch. You can do more, but the back neckline should be high. Okay, so either 1 inch, 1.5 or 2 inches is okay. Now I'm going to come in here by 0.625 to contour the center back. Okay, then I'm going to place my curve this same way you can see me place it. Then contour the center back upwards like this. And now our measurement will be starting from this new curve. Now, starting from this new contour line, I'm going to mark the bust measurement divided by 4 minus half here. Then I'll go to the waistline and mark the waist measurement divided by 4. So don't get confused. I already said in my previous tutorials that what I usually do is the bust measurement divided by 4 plus half on the front, then the bust measurement divided by 4 minus half on the back pattern. It works well for me. So I want to do that, and I'm going to do a dart of 1 inch. So that's why I added 1 inch from the waist measurement. Now I'm going to get the midpoint of this line. Then I'm going to curve the armhole to that point, just like this. That will just serve as a guide. Now for the dart, I'm going to start from the center back line and go into the bust span, then go up 6 inches, which should be the dart length. Then I'll measure from the initial center back line to that point. Whatever it is I have there, I'm going to mark it on the dart length just so I can have a straight line. Then I'll connect it this way. Now on both sides, I'm going to mark half inch, which is the same 1 inch we added to the waist measurement for the dart intake. Then I'm going to mark out the dart value this way. Yeah, connect the dart this way. And if I measure, you see that I have 1 inch, which is the same 1 inch I added to the waist measurement. Okay, now I'm going to clean the initial center back line, then follow the center back contour line and add my zipper allowance. And I usually do 1 inch zipper allowance. So whatever zipper allowance value you're comfortable working with, you're going to follow your center back and add it. Then you are going to place your curve the exact way you initially contour the center back to mark out the zipper allowance. And that's pretty much about it for this upper pattern. Now I'm going to separate the two patterns and then cut out the back pattern first. Then we go over to the front pattern. So there's no need for you to cut out the dart. Just after transferring to your fabric, you're going to notch the dart legs so that it will be easy for you to sew. To cut the front pattern, I will open the waist dart all the way to the bust point, then fold in the bust dart and apply my water glue in between and place it on the bust point line. Then go ahead and blend in the distorted line and cut out this side front. This same way you can see me do it. Okay, So after cutting it, to cut this other part, I'm going to cut it the same way you can see me do it. Then I wanted to close the bust that, then I noticed that I actually folded this paper. So I had to trace the gaping that and yeah, the entire neckline so that it will reflect on the other side. Then after opening it up, I'm going to slash through one of the gaping that line and then place it on the other line, just as you can see me do it here. It's not hard. Okay, so you slash one of the dart legs and you place it on the other one. You see that I use my water glue to hold it down. If you're using a masking tape, you just tape them down. And after cutting it out, this is what the neckline looks like. That's the whole point. I wanted to show you what the neckline looks like on fold. And you see that we did a great job with the darts because they are going to align by the time you're joining the center front and the side front. And matching up the side front and then the side back, you see that they are aligning, and I know why. Now let's move over to the skirt. So this will be the waistline. Then I'm going to start from this line. You're going to minus your half length, which mine is 17 inches. And if you're cutting this directly on your fabric, you're going to minus 16 instead of that 17. But because I'm doing this on a paper, I'll be placing that exact 17 on the waistline. Then you're going to go down to your gown length, your desired gown length, which is obviously 3/4. So if you don't know how your 3/4 length, you can decide to add 7 inches to your knee measurement. Yeah, from 7 inches upwards. But yeah, 7 inches will give you 3/4 from your actual knee measurement. Now I'm going to start from this waistline and go down to the hip line and to the knee line. And after marking the 2 points, I'm going to mark it also on this other side just so I can have a straight line for my measurement intake. Then I'm going to mark it out this way and label it hip line, knee line, and then the skirt length. Coming to the waistline, I'm going to mark the waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart intake. Be taking note of all these darts you are doing, okay? There's something I want to explain, which I already have a tutorial on that on this channel. Then on the hip line, the hip measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to place the exact value I have on the hip, on the knee line, then come in 1.5 and measure what I have and take it down to the skirt length. Do you understand? You can decide to just minus 3 inches from your hip measurement, then you divide that into 4 and mark it on the knee. That's exactly what I did here. Or if you want it more pencil, you're going to do 2 inches, like minus 4 inches or 5 inches or even 6 inches if you want it more pencil, and depends on how much you want to work to. Yeah, how free. So this is what the skirt is looking like. Then for the darts, we are going to bring in the center front of the upper bodice like this, and then you're going to measure this width on the waistline. Whatever it is you measure, then you're going to mark the exact thing here on the waistline. Then you're going to start from that point and mark 1 inch. Then after marking the 1 inch, you're going to get the midpoint of the 1 inch, which is obviously the half inch. Okay, let's take that again. So this whole measurement is what we have here now is exactly what we measured out here. Okay, then from that point I added the same 1 inch I added as the that intake here. Do you understand? Then after marking that 1 inch, I mark the midpoint. Then whatever it is I have on that midpoint now, I'm going to go down to 6 inches, which is that length, and mark the same thing, like from the center front to that midpoint of the dart. That's the same thing I marked on the 6 inches that length, just so I can have a straight line and already have the dart value marked out. Do you understand it? Like I said, I have another tutorial on this channel which explain this more. But what you're trying to do is to make sure that the dart legs are aligning of both the skirts and then the upper part by the time you want to join. Now for the skirt design, you're going to go up from your knee line 3 inches, depending on how high you want this anyway. But from 3 inches works, okay? 3 inches is not too high and it's not too low. Except you want it higher, then you're going to do more. Then I'll mark it out this way. On this new line, I'm going to mark my bust span. Your nipple to nipple, you're going to mark it here. Mine is 3.75 and I marked 4 inches here. Forget the dart you're seeing on the skirt. You already know how that dart came about. Then I'm going to mark it out like this. Now I'm going to come down here by 1 inch. From your knee line, you're going in down 1 inch. Then you're going from that bust span, you're going out 1 inch again towards the center front. Then starting from this bust band, you're going to mark 3 inches on this other side. Do you understand? So what we have here is the 3 inches from the knee line. Then from here is the bust band, which I said mine is 3.75, but I marked 4 inches here, which is just 0.25 difference because nobody is gone, no. But yeah, you can use your exact nipple to nipple measurement here. So now from this bust band, you're coming in here 1 inch and then you're going down 1 inch. Then you're starting here and you're going in 3 inches. Okay. Now we are going to connect this so that it makes more sense. You're going to start from the 3 inches from the knee up, and then you're curving to the 1 inch we have from on this side, and then the 1 inch we have down, just like this. Then now you can decide to use your curve to connect this other side if you want, but you can also decide to use your freehand like we did on the other part. So this is what it's looking like with the curve, and then I'm going to highlight this part more so that it meets the other part proper. And this is the shape we are having. Okay, and you can see that this opening now it's bigger on this side, and you're going to start from this line here and you're going up from 3 inches upwards. Remember, you're going to sit down, and when you sit down it's going to expose more, so take note of how much you're going up here. So I made a mistake for this design cutout. What I'm marking here now is supposed to be going to the center front, but yeah, we'll be doing it proper. That's what happens when you're not looking at a design and you're trying to recreate it. So now from here, you're going in 1.25. By the time you open it up, it's going to be 2.5. Then we are going up 3.5. Let's use 3.5. Okay. Then on that point, on that 3.5, I'll be marking 1.5. By the time it's open, it's going to be 3 inches. Now you're going to connect this way. The wideness on this part is 1.25, and then on this upper part is 1.5, which is 3 inches. Remember, this is going to open up and it's on fold. Yeah, it's going to be cut on fold. Then for the other one we did down, is going to be 2, which means it's going to be on both sides of your leg. Then you're going to slant this other part, which is basically coming down about half inch from that 3 inches we came up from the knee line. Do you understand? Just like this, and then you're going to slant it this way in a way that you're shortening half inch from the curve we have on this side, the opening we have on this side. Okay, now you're going to measure the width you have on this opening here and take note of it. Mine is 4 inches. You're going to mark it down or write it down so you don't forget. Then this other one is 1.5, which is 3 inches. So that's how much you're going to use the velvet bias to fill up that part. This one is 4 inches, the one on the upper part is 3 inches. Okay, that's pretty much about it. I think we got the design, yeah? Now let's go ahead and cut, and I will be cutting it out like this. And again, for the dart, you're not going to cut the dart. Remember, you just half inch that value. Yeah, half inch on both sides, which is just 1 inch. And if you want to sew, you'll be needing extra inches to sew. So you don't need to cut the dart. You just notch on the dart legs by the time you transfer it to the fabric. This is what it's looking like after cutting it out. So let's keep it aside and work on the back pattern basket. So we have the waistline, the hip line, the knee line, and then the skirt length, and also the center back. So from the center back on the waistline, I'll be coming in by the same thing I used to contour the center back for the upper part, and then I'll blend it into the hip line this way. Then I'll also be contouring the knee, and I will be coming in by 1 inch from the center back. I think I did 0.75, but yeah, you're going to come in by how much you feel you want to contour the knee. Yeah, you're contouring the knee, not the butt. We are not doing the butt contour today, but this will also help. Then you're going to take it down from the knee. Now our measurement will be starting from this new line. On the waistline, I will mark the waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5. Then for the hip line, the hip measurement divided by 4, and then on the knee measurement, the same knee measurement we used for the front pattern, skirt pattern. Then I'm going to take it down. What I have on the knee, I'll take it down to the skirt length, except you want to take out and then you minus something from what you have on the knee and mark it on the skirt length. Now for the dart, like we did for the front pattern, you're going to measure from the center back to the first dart leg. Then you're going to mark that exact value here. You start from that point and mark the 1.5 we added for the dart intake. This is this in 1.5. You're going to mark it. Okay. And then you're now going to get the midpoint of this 1.5, which is 0.75. And now we have the midpoint here. Now I'm going to go down to 6 inches dart length. Then I'm going to measure from the initial center back line to that midpoint of the dart this way. Whatever it is I have there, I'm going to mark the same value on the dart length just so I have a straight line for the dart. Do you understand? Now I'm going to mark out the dart values like this. So this is what it's looking like. And if I measure my waist measurement, like I take my waist measurement again, you see that it's just the same 1.5 dart intake that we replaced on the side. And I'm sure you already figured out why we are doing all of this. But in case you haven't, the whole point of this is just so you create enough space for the board to sit on this particular pattern, skirt pattern now. Then for the upper bodies, you're not creating much space for your back because you don't have enough bump there. So we did just 1 inch that intake, and here we did 1.5. Then for the front pattern, you see that we did 1.5 for the upper part and then 1 inch for the down part, because you're not trying to create much space for your lower abdomen except you need it. That's when you're going to use the same that intake you use for the upper part or even more to create more space for your lower abdomen. That's the whole point. And another thing is just so that by the time you're joining the upper part to the skirt, the that legs will align, something like this. So you can see now that both the center back, the zipper allowance, and the first dart legs that they are aligning, we only have different dart value, which I just explained why we did that. Okay, you're trying to create a space for the skirt, for your butt to sit, and then you're trying to create less space for the upper part, and that's why we are doing this. And by the time you're done looking at it from the outside, one would think that you use the same dart values for both the upper part and then the down part because the dart legs are aligning. Yeah, the dart line. And because of the fit that it will give you, it will still get one confused as to how you came about that. The dart legs are aligning with different dart values. Yeah, you did your calculation well. And yeah, stop making dresses that the dart legs or the dart lines of both the upper and the down parts are not aligning. It doesn't speak so well of you. So this is the front skirt and then the back skirt. You're going to cut this upper part of, yeah, the front skirt, the whole of them, you're going to cut that on fold. And then for the opening, you're going to fill it up with you're going to pipe with your velvet bias. That's what they used on the for the one on the thumbnail. You're piping here too with your velvet bias, and then you're filling up this. You're piping this part too, and then you're filling up the opening here, which we said is 4 inches. Okay, I didn't cut out exactly where I marked, but it's still 4 inches. And then this one is 3 inches. You're also going to fill it up with your velvet bias. Just be looking at the picture, and yeah, you're cutting out 3 inches and then you're using it to fill up this part. You can decide to do that before piping or after piping, but make sure you have a neat work by the time you're done. Okay, you're cutting both the upper one and then the down one on fold. Yeah, and then like I said, you're not touching the dart. After transferring the skirt to the fabric, you notch the dart legs so that it will be easy for you to sew. Okay, you're only cutting the dart for the front pattern of the upper part and not the skirts. Forget about the skirts. Now we have the back skirt pattern, which you're going to cut two of that, and then we have the center front, which you're going to cut on fold, the side front, which you're going to cut two of that, and then we have the back pattern, which I did not bring in here. I'll bring it in later. Okay, so that's pretty much about it. You're going to go ahead and transfer this to your fabric, add the necessary allowance, and happy sewing. And with this, we've come to the end of this amazing tutorial. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, let me know in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in my next one. Bye bye.